everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kerry. I'm an education officer at Plastic Clever Schools, and I'm also a primary school teacher. I'm here with my colleague Amy, and today we're going to explore how to teach the circular economy in schools in a way that is meaningful, practical, and aligned with what we already do as teachers. Whether you're Key Stage 2, Key Stage 3, or beyond, we hope that this session will give you ideas to take straight into your classroom. By the end of the webinar, you should hopefully feel confident explaining the circular economy, understand where it fits in within the national curriculum, and most importantly, have practical strategies to teach it.
So let's start with a simple question. What actually happens to the things that we throw away? And this is often where children's understanding begins and sometimes where it ends, because many students think that waste simply disappears, and the circular economy changes this idea completely. Now, traditionally, our economy has been what's called a linear economy. So we take resources, we make products out of them, and then we dispose them. And the circular economy really flips this model. And instead of waste, we think about keeping materials in use for as long as possible. It's about redesigning how we look at our waste entirely. And in simple terms, the circular economy is about three key ideas: keeping resources in use, reducing waste, and regenerating natural systems. And for children, this translates into really practical ideas. Things like repairing toys or reusing materials or questioning the packaging of an item. And the circular economy gives us the tools to tackle climate change and biodiversity loss together while addressing important social needs. It gives us the power to grow economies, jobs, and resilience while cutting greenhouse gas emissions, waste, and pollution. And it's important that we communicate to students that this isn't just an environmental concept. This is about looking forwards, and it links to their future careers or potential ways of living. Children today will grow up in a world where resources are more limited and sustainability is central to careers and daily life. And teaching this now builds not just knowledge, but really important values and behaviours in young people.
One of the key challenges is that circular economy isn't explicitly taught in the national curriculum. However, it is already there, embedded across subjects. In science, we explore materials and environmental impact. In geography, we look at resource use. In design and technology, we design and evaluate products. So this isn't about something new, it's about connecting what we already teach. There is increasing recognition at policy level that sustainability education needs strengthening. Recent curriculum reviews highlight gaps, particularly in climate education. The direction of travel is clear. Sustainability, including circular economy thinking, will become more prominent. In practice, more schools teach circular economy concepts indirectly. It might be through eco clubs, recycling initiatives, or topic work. The challenge is that this can sometimes be fragmented rather than embedded. Many schools do fantastic work. They do waste audits, recycling systems, upcycling products, and these are excellent starting points, but we can deepen understanding by linking explicitly to learning objectives.
A helpful way to introduce circular economy thinking is through the R's framework. Children quickly grasp ideas like reuse and recycle, the ones that we tend to hear quite a lot. But the more powerful thinking comes from R's like refuse and reduce, the ones that make us question whether we actually need something in the first place. And one key message that is really important to communicate is that recycling alone isn't enough. The circular economy is really about designing systems, thinking earlier in the process. And this is an important shift to communicate to children. It's not just about dealing with the waste that we've already produced, it's about trying to prevent it wherever possible. And problem-based learning is one of the most effective approaches to this. For example, challenging students to reduce the waste in a classroom or in your school. And this gives them purpose to their learning and encourages critical thinking. Looking at product life cycle and thinking about where it comes from and where it goes helps children to think about the bigger picture. Take a simple object like a plastic bottle and ask, where did it come from? What happens to it after we've finished with it? These sort of questions build deeper understanding of global systems and the products that we use.
Hands-on learning is essential. Activities like repairing broken items or designing new products from waste materials make the concept tangible. For example, in Key Stage 2, pupils could design a product using recycled materials. They could then evaluate its life cycle. How long will it last? How could it be reused again? And what happens to it at the end? At Key Stage 3, students could go even further, analysing real products, debating sustainability, and even proposing improvements. Now, this links strongly with both the subject science and geography. So, we'd like to give you some initial ideas to get you started, and we have some potential activities to incorporate circular thinking in your classroom. The first one is bin detective. How about emptying a classroom bin onto a sheet? Ask the students to sort the items into recyclable, reusable, and avoidable. By doing this, students will gain an understanding that not all waste is equal. Then consider setting a class challenge to reduce one category, maybe each week or each half term. The next activity is called Fix It Station. Bring in lots of broken toys and set up a Fix It Station. Ask the students to diagnose the problem, attempt to repair it, and evaluate the success. Then the key message of this activity is that repairing is a powerful circular economy action. Trash to treasure. Give groups of students a selection of waste materials and ask them to create a useful product. They must explain who it's for, how long it will last, and what happens to it when it breaks or is no longer used. The next one is, would you buy it? So show the class images of various products, for example, an over-packaged item, a reusable item, a disposable item, and then ask the students to vote on whether they'd buy it or not. Discuss and debate whether the items have been designed to last or not, and what happens to them after their use. Reduce our waste. So this activity involves carrying out a school audit, just like the one that's provided by Plastic Clever Schools. And once you've carried out the audit, you analyse what you find, discuss solutions, and then act on them by making posters to raise awareness or make behavioural changes through new systems within the school. The last activity is called Circular Classroom Challenge. Try to make your classroom as circular as possible. So set up things like scrap paper trays, pencil reuse system, and refill stations.
But as we spoke about previously, it's also important to ensure that this messaging and thinking is something that's cross-curricular and fits into already busy classroom curriculums. But luckily, alongside kind of quick activities like the ones we just ran through, there are lots of ways to incorporate circularity into existing subjects that you teach without having to treat them as standalone topics that you do with your class or with your eco group. So, for example, in a subject like geography, you could look at the journey of an item, like a t-shirt. You can map where the cotton that's used to make it is grown, produced, and sold. You could explore the travel costs and the environmental and social cost of making these items, and ask students to consider just how sustainable common items that we use really are. Another option is through English, where you could develop persuasive writing by getting students to write letters to a company asking them to reduce their packaging or create a how to live with less waste guide. And through subjects like art, you could create recycled sculptures. Topics like circularity and waste don't have to just be STEM or science based, and you could ask students to create sculptures using waste with a message about consumption and look at some of the amazing existing sculptures created by artists around the world with similar messages.
Now, the most effective schools take a whole school approach. This means aligning the curriculum, school practices, and values. For example, linking classroom learning with recycling systems or eco initiatives. And that's where we're here to help. We know it's hard to start from scratch on an issue that you might not be entirely confident about, or to engage a whole school community that feels slow to change. These are common barriers that a lot of teachers will face, and completely understandably.
And that's why, as part of Plastic Clever Schools, we have the three-step framework that your school can use to build your sustainability education on. And each stage puts pupils at the heart of the action and tries to equip them with the tools to make a tangible and positive impact on plastic waste. Now, if you're not already familiar or signed up with the Plastic Clever Schools program, a quick whistle stop tour for you. The Inspire stage is focused on learning all about plastic and sharing that information with your school community. The Investigate stage helps you to discover the problem plastics in your school and get ready to do something about them. And the Act stage is where you lead an exciting campaign to wave goodbye to single use plastics in your school. And each stage includes the essential resources to achieve the award, as well as additional materials, ideas, and inspiration to embed learning into the curriculum and to further engage your wider school community. And alongside the core program, we also have two new resource packs recently released that you can use to dive a bit more deeply into plastic pollution and waste management. These are the Ocean Plastic Key Stage 1 and Key Stage 2 packs, which are cross-curricular resources that have been designed to be an off-the-shelf progressive teaching tool for your classroom. And of course, we know that you as teachers know your students far better than anyone else, and you may want to adapt and change them to suit your needs. That's completely fine. But the resources are aimed to be aligned with the national curriculum and cover objectives found in subjects like English, science, geography, and DT. And we've also ensured that the resources meet the requirements of the DfE strategy on sustainability and climate change. And you can download all of these for free on the Plastic Clever Schools website. And if you wanted to look at the circular economy and waste management in particular, like we've been discussing today, then I just wanted to point you towards lesson 1 and lesson 2 in the Key Stage 1 pack. So these are covering what are plastics and what happens to our rubbish. And lessons 3 and 6 in the Key Stage 2 pack. So these are looking at the life cycle of items like a plastic bottle and what some of the plastic alternatives are that are out there. But obviously, we recommend the whole lesson sequences and the whole packages to really develop students' understanding about plastic as a whole and the impact that it has on the world's oceans and the species that live in it more broadly. Now, hopefully, the lesson packages and the content and the program is there to help you really get started in teaching circular economy and engaging your students with plastics more widely. But whether you're using our resources, whether you're using your own kind of plan or someone else's, I think there are a couple of key things to remember. And the first one is really start small. It can feel like a massive undertaking to start to look at waste systems in school and bring this education into the classroom. But like we said, it's about looking at where you can fit in with existing topics, look at what you already teach, and really build from there. And really importantly, don't see this as your own undertaking to do completely by yourself. It's really about collaborating with colleagues, using available resources and programs and support that are out there, and making this something that is a whole school movement and approach.
So, to summarise what we've been talking about, the circular economy is already in the curriculum. We just need to make it more explicit. So, focus on real life, practical learning, and aim for, just like Amy said, small, meaningful changes. We'd like to leave you with one question. What is one small change that you could make next week to bring circular economy thinking into your classroom? Hope that's got you thinking. Good luck. And thank you very much for listening to our session. We hope that it's given you lots of practical ideas and confidence to explore this important area with your students. Thanks, and bye from us.